speaking of, a player that we're very high on, Simone Fontecchio.
Yep.
Obviously, I think he's been the Pistons, dare I say, best player since the trading deadline.
Give or take.
He has started 41 games, so as a result, he's reached starter criteria. So his qualifying offer, I think, was at like 3.1. Now it goes up to 5.2. So my question is, one, what would you offer him in free agency? And two, do you think he's more of a starter or is more of a bench player?
I am probably biased because I don't know why I'm so high in him, but I am. That was when Troy made the trade. I was like, oh, okay, Troy's actually making some pretty great moves here. And then the rest of the trade deadline comes and it's like, what are you doing? But with Fontecchio, I think he's a starter with this group. Like, I think if you have, we'll see how it plays out. That's why I want Asar to come back. But I would love to see Cade, Ivy, Asar, Fontecchio, and Duran and see what that actually looks like. But I would, because he just makes life easier for everybody in the starting lineup. Like, he stretches the floor. He can tack off the dribble. He's not scared to shoot, which is good most nights. Defensively, he's totally solid. Like, he's not, I don't think he's necessarily an above average defender, but he's totally solid. He's not, he's not a traffic cone like the last man we had in his position. But I think he's a starter, but I would like to see that starting lineup before free agency, and I don't know that we will, because I think even when Asar is back, which hopefully he's all good, but I think Monty's going to keep starting Stu, who's also been good and improved lately. But I think he's a starter, or at the very least, should always be playing starter minutes.
I just see that conversation a lot right now. Is he a starter? Because then you get into like these weird combinations. Like, do you put Asar at the 4? Do you start Tech at the 3? Do you have Tech off the bench and just, put Asar back into his small forward role and have, Fontecchio at power forward and Stewart off the bench?
Right.
I personally don't know. I think he should be a starter just for spacing purposes. Yep. And to your point, he can score at all 3 levels. And I think that's something that, like, Pistons don't really have a whole lot of. And
nope, sure don't.
Arguably, he's like the second option right now next to Cade. Like, Cade looks for him a lot.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. Like, this guy was barely getting any playing time in Utah, and he's our second best player right now.
Right. Yeah, I would. So as far as the money goes, I guess I wouldn't mind paying him that like Jeremy Grant deal, the $20 million a year. And I know people are probably going to say that's high, but for what he gives you, like you said, spacing, solid defense. He also moves the ball well. I think there was a moment today he was like pretty open, gave it to Amude, hits the 3, but like pretty unselfish, but not scared to shoot it. I just think he's super versatile, and you can play him in pretty much any lineup, and he helps every single group. So I wouldn't mind giving him the $20 million a year deal. I definitely would want to lock him down long term.
Yeah, even if you were,
I know people are going to think that's high.
You know what? I think with the way NBA money is nowadays, I don't really think that's too high. Look at a guy like Duncan Robinson. Yeah. He's on a huge deal.
Right.
And he just torched the fuck out of us tonight.
Yes, he did.
Like, he looked like prime Klay Thompson out there. Like, it was insane. Yep. He could not miss a shot.
Yeah.
I don't even think the Pistons even think about the qualifying offer. To your point, I think they try to lock him down multiple years. I think, 3 for $60 would be a steal. You have to remember, that's what they gave Bojan 2 for $41.
Right.
And I think we can agree that I think Fontecchio is a better player than Bojan right now.
Like, I would rather give Fontecchio 20 instead of Tobias 35.
Yeah.
Which I think is what his number might end up. It's definitely going to be 30 plus.
Well, that, and I feel like you're going to have bidders too. Like, who's to say someone doesn't try to, steal Fontecchio from the Pistons because they see what type of player he is.
I mean, he was pretty coveted at the deadline. Like the Pistons weren't rumored for. I think it was the Celtics and a couple other teams that were rumored to try and grab him, and then Pistons swung out of nowhere. Yeah, I think they are going to give him a good amount of money, and I'm not mad at 20, even though it might be a little high to some people.
I think it's a little high when you talk about just like when trying to get a free agent, but you also have to remember like Pistons aren't really in a position where they can get that, team discount yet. Right. They're still a young rebuilding team. Like I doubt Fontecchio is going to take less to stay here. If a team that maybe it's like a bubble playoff team or a playoff team's offering him 20 million, he's probably going to take the 20 million with the playoff team. Sure. I think if you've heard the Pistons, just try to lock him down as long as you can because he's only 28 years old. Right. I think he's young enough to where he can grow with the young core that you currently have. So I don't really think you're too far off with the 20 million. Yeah. I think 3 for 60, honestly, if you're not in love with any free agents and you just kind of want to retain him, I think it would be a good deal.
I agree. Yeah, I'm higher on him than most, and I was very excited. But yeah, I think that's in the ballpark. I mean, I'd love to keep him for cheaper. I just, I'm okay with 20.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get him for like 12 to 15, I feel like that would be like a home run.
Sure.
Like if you could get him for like, I don't know, 3 for 45, I think that would be an incredible steal. But I don't know. It just depends like what he wants and who his agent is at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting too, like compared to like Isaiah Stewart's extension. Like it'd be interesting to think. I value Fontecchio more than Stewart just because of mainly offensively, but a lot of teams want Stewart too.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Fontecchio is a lot more. I don't want to say he's more mobile, but laterally he's quicker than Stewart. Yeah. Sometimes it seems like Stewart has like cinder blocks on his feet because he's kind of slow. But I mean, I don't want to say like Stewart's slow by any means, but Fontecchio is actually like sneaky athletic. Like, you wouldn't think he's athletic, but like some of the drives he has to the basket, you're like, dude, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
Like,
but it's also the Fontecchio conversation also opens up another discussion where it's like there are probably some hard decisions coming up because realistically, how far does a core, and it might be far depending on the progress they have and maybe if there's a change in coaching style, but if like what does Cade, Ivy, Asar, Fontecchio, and Durant, like how far can that group go in 3 years? Like is that enough from your starting unit if you upgrade the bench? Because that's the other question. It's like I love Fontecchio, but if that group has a ceiling of 7th seed in 2 years, what are we doing?